Greetings, one and all, from the White Mountains of Arizona. Tara and I have been out hiking all day, following all sorts of streams and washes and all sorts of things. And such a nice day. We thought, let's channel, see what we can get, because in the past we've been asking questions, what we want to know, and our ego can only take us so far. But we can't know what we don't know. Well, that looks weird. We can't know what we don't know. So what we're going to do today is just channel whatever wants to come up and let it talk and speak its message. We don't know what we're going to connect to today. And I'm just going to try to stay out of it as much as possible. Try to ask fewer questions than usual and just let the entity speak whatever message. If the conversation comes to a lull, I'll do my thing, but otherwise, check this out. Let me zoom in on that. Ooh, I thought citrine would be perfect for today. We're out in the woods. We found a spot that felt just good. And we pulled some cards on it, and the energy was good. So we're doing the reading here today. Tara should be ready to go.
Okay.
Okay, I'm coming. All right. What have we connected to today?
He says, I was trying to speak earlier. I'm the water from earlier.
Okay. Can you explain what you or who or what you are?
Satba. Xatba. I said that I was put here like you are put here. We are consciousness. And certain aspects of the world were without consciousness. And we're put here as you, a consciousness. But of course, all one consciousness.
Okay, and you oversee the water?
The element is water. Yes, I've been attached to water.
Okay, what would you say your role is on Earth?
Our collective consciousness, which of course there is one consciousness, is meant to connect to the other aspect of us, which is the human consciousness.
How does water play a role in this?
We are the makeup of everything here on earth. Everything is linked to one another. We are meant to show you the water element of you. When you discover that you are all elements, you see in the 3D that you are one, thus elevating yourself past the 3D.
We're all elements, but wouldn't you say we're mostly fleshy sacks of mostly water?
There is much water, yes.
Okay, now do you have a message for us today?
I want you to be able to connect to that water element and see it beyond its form in the many forms that we can be in 3D, meant to show you that if this can be done in 3D, a sort of form, let's say liquid form, can thus be transformed into something new entirely, like a solid form or a vapor. If this can be done with an element and you are a part of that element, then couldn't you transform yourself just the same? Something that seems impossible, one completely different viscous thing to another. Couldn't you do the same? We're here to help you awaken to that.
Are you speaking about transforming out of the third dimension and into the fourth?
Yes.
The fourth, where we won't need a physical body and we can manifest whatever creation we seek to manifest.
Yes.
Okay, so as a species, what are we doing wrong in this respect?
There is what we would call maybe a virus in the program meant to disconnect you from the elements that you are, everything here on earth, placed here in both positive and negative polarity, meant to show you your interconnectedness, thus ascending out of this 3D world. But if there is a virus in the program and there is a disconnect, how can you see that you are one with everything around you, thus enabling you to ascend out of the 3D dimension?
So we have to recognize that there's a virus.
Yes,
A virus that contorts our perception of reality?
yes. But remember that when you see that there can be a contortion, there is learning in that as well. What is reality then, really, if it can be contorted?
So further proof that this particular reality is a simulation.
You could say all realities were simulations.
Okay. With an overlord overseeing the simulation?
There's various entities that have caught on to various simulation programs, which they have then latched onto and claimed as their own.
So the programs were in existence before anyone claimed ownership.
Yes,
So who created those systems?
not yet to be revealed.
So the rabbit hole just goes deeper and deeper and deeper until there's no end.
The spiral, Fibonacci.
Yeah. So there's infinite things that are larger than us and infinite things that are smaller than us, both in size, consciousness, awareness, energy,
Yes.
in infinite directions. Okay, so what is humanity doing well?
Because of the contrast becoming great in positive, negative, light, and dark, many have caught on to there being a virus. So, this virus is good to help raise consciousness, thus helping you to elevate. So, it's really two ways out of many, infinite, as you say, ascension processes.
You're saying, I'm confused. You're saying there's multiple ways to ascend?
Yes, one where you see yourself as interconnected with everything, you realize your oneness with everything, you ascend. Or needing contrast to see that we are one with everything, and therefore we then ascend. Some need a darkness in order to have contrast in order to achieve ascension.
Right, in this realm. But
Yes,
eventually they have to pick a side. Is that true?
there are many sides, but you could categorize them into light, dark, positive, negative.
Yes. So, for instance, in the fifth realm, there's no such light and dark. Is this correct?
There is less contrast.
Okay. There's not such polarity.
Yes, it's not as stark as this dimension.
And that's true as you ascend further into the dimensions?
It begins to blur like watercolor, but it goes forever.
Hmm. What's the contrast like in the lower dimensions? It's so bad here, I can't imagine what they're going through.
Imagine an opposite effect. The watercolor pushes darker and darker. You move upwards, higher and higher, brighter and brighter.
Okay. So it's an entity's best interest to ascend,
Yes,
unless it chooses the dark side, in which case it will eventually ascend anyway.
it is both polarities helping each other out. Light needs shadow in order to help it to ascend, and shadow needs light in order for it to see contrast so that it can ascend.
Speaking about the third realm,
In almost all realms,
what happens outside of this universe?
there are laws that are more difficult to explain, ways of operation for that universe.
At what point in consciousness do you become aware of things outside your own universe?
12, 12 and a half, 13 dimension.
Is that near ascension away from this universe?
Yes, but do not see it as ascension into something greater or better, but it is the next chapter,
Right.
starting all over again, but in a brand new universe.
A new, in a specific direction of the Fibonacci sequence.
Yes,
So new laws, new rules, new everything.
yes. So ascension doesn't always mean better, or going to a different dimension is better, but just moving forward in your chapter of learning, more learning, we would say. The higher, the more learning.
Right. But the more learning, the more aware. The more aware, the better you can maneuver.
Just the more deaths you have, transformations of exiting one chapter and beginning a new. So you could say the higher, the more lived.
Mm-hmm. And there's no end to it? You
No
said
end.
no end. What prevents a being from losing interest?
Restate.
Well, if there's no end and you repeat the same thing over and over, here on Earth, some entities just want to die. At some point, they want it to be over.
But to die means to move into something else. There's always something else. Spiral up, spiral down, always something else.
As you move higher in the dimensions, is there less pain?
Pain is a polarity or contrast. And so pain is less how you would feel it and more of a word or frequency.
Okay, so it's only uncomfortable in the third realm?
You need uncomfortability in order to see contrast. You see, as the dimensions are higher, just like water molecules move, there's less, more frequency, more feeling. You feel the currents through the water. In the third dimension, you need a form for everything in order to see physical light and dark and contrast. So you would need some sort of physical pain in order for you to understand what that means. Whereas at a higher realm, you understand the frequency of it, you don't have to experience it.
Is that necessarily true in 3D? Can a person with higher consciousness learn lessons without experiencing pain?
Yes, it's how much you are elevating the human with the consciousness, meaning with the soul, the more it expands itself within the third dimension, laws almost appear different. Think of each dimension as also having layers. Remember, everything is infinite. So, what's possible in that third dimension can be different based on the different consciousness levels. So, it's also, you would say, like spiraling upwards or spiraling downwards within one dimension infinitely.
Okay, what kind of other entities exist in the third realm besides humans and the ones we know about? In other
There's all
galaxies?
entities.
Yes, everyone exists in the third realm, but can you explain some entities who may live in different galaxies that we haven't encountered yet?
In the third realm,
Yes.
well, of course, there would be.
Yeah.
There's also mirrors of you. Everything is mirrors of you. So, whatever it is that you encounter is just going to be another version of you, but you will see it as alien because you haven't yet accepted yourself entirely. Everything will always feel foreign until then.
But at that point, we're in the fourth realm.
Mm, eventually.
So, what does a human look like who has completely, as you say, understood the self, yet is still existing in the third realm?
They can look however they wish. They can be perceived or not perceived. They have mastery of the realm.
Okay, so it's sort of an in between the physicality of 3D and the non physicality of 4D.
Yes, so the 3D will respond to the awareness of one's 4D and above self. And so their reality can look any way they wish.
And they're still considered in the third realm.
Yes, remember, ability level is infinite up, infinite down, consciousness level.
And this is done away from the Earth, space, and time?
Yes, but Earth resides in all of those infinite up, infinite down consciousnesses that reside just in the third dimension.
Okay. Is Earth a planet?
It's a seed.
Explain.
Imagine that if there were limits and things were not infinite as we know them to be, and somebody were to hold your universe in the palm of their hand, they're really holding the soil. And the other versions of self within that universe, which is you, are the seeds. Really, what is happening in all the other third dimension entities that you have yet to meet and will meet, which are actually just you, eventually you come together. When you come together, you sprout. You ascend outside of this universe, universe number 4, on into the next universe.
Okay, so we're all working together to ascend.
Yes, you
So,
are all seeds.
so by fourth universe, there's a numbering, sequential numbering of them?
Somewhat.
But that
If
would,
you were to try to dig your way down, let's say you're at universe 4 and you want to get down into universe 3, number 2, number 1, eventually you'd reach 0, possibly onto negatives. But remember that every level is infinite. So if every level is infinite, it makes it infinitely harder to make it to the next level.
huh. So beings descend while other beings ascend.
Yes.
Is there an equal number of entities descending as ascending?
Mm, yes, if all timelines exist.
If all timelines exist. Okay. So throughout the universe, there's always duality, polarity, positive, negative.
To some degree within this universe.
Then the rules change outside this universe.
Yes.
Okay, well, I have a lot of questions, but Tara is getting licked by a bunch of flies. So, is there any last message you have for Tara or us in general or the people watching?
I think you are all beginning to understand what we're trying to say. about ascension and what that means. So we're here if you need. Whew. Oh my goodness.
You cold or what?
I got like the willies all over. Well, that was interesting.
Was that a high vibration?
Yeah, it was like a very youthful feeling vibration. It was like it was kind of funny and cheeky and I don't know, it had this like kind of like fun personality or something. It felt super ancient but young at the same time. It was kind of weird.
Maybe he's too young because he didn't understand my Star Trek joke.
It's before his time.
Yeah, probably. Well, that's again another one that we have to watch back again over and over just to let all that sink in. It was a bunch of information.
Yeah.
I had the intention going in of not talking, and then it turns out I had to ask a bunch of questions. But we didn't know what we were getting at.
Yeah. I guess this thing was just like, okay, ask away, ask questions.
Yeah. Well, I hope I asked the right questions. If you want to ask your own questions of any entity, Tara can connect to it and ask them for you. Right? kinswaitsandtarot.com.
Yep. Just head there and you can see the live one-on-one channeling offer that I have. So
all right. Well, we appreciate your comments.
yes, I do appreciate those and all of the suggestions that you guys want for future channeling. So yeah. I do write them all down.
Yeah, she sure does. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this and subscribe.
Bye.
Bye.